Hello everybody, and thank you for watching this briefing from Councillor Roche and myself. I'm Robin Porter, I'm the Chief Executive of Luton Council, and we're delighted to talk to you today about the Council's budget. First off though, I'd just like to thank everybody who took the time to engage in the Council budget process this year, sending in questions, comments and providing feedback, and also to those who engaged in the engagement events in the mail over the last couple of weeks. We read and considered all of the points that you've made, and we're going to address a number of those themes today. But before we do, I'd just like to provide a little bit of context to the Council's budget. Our net expenditure is in the order of £169 million. Now that sounds like a lot of money, but we are providing circa 730 services to the 225,000 residents of Luton. And this year, through a combination of factors that we'll go through, we've got a budget gap of £8.8 million. Now, why is that? Well, since 2010, the last 13 years, we have been forced to make over £170 million of savings in the Council's budget. In 2010, we benefited from £120 million a year in central government grant. This year, we'll get £13 million, so £120 million a year to £13 million. Unfortunately, because of the funding formula, Luton has the second lowest level of government funding in England compared to relative need after Dudley in the East Midlands. We're £278 per person underfunded by the government. Now, each year we're legally required to set a balanced budget, but we do this in the context of reducing funding, rising costs through inflation and rising demand for services. But before we go on, I'd like to introduce Councillor Roche, who's responsible for finances at the Council.
Thank you, Robin. Hello, everybody. My name is Rob Roche. I'm the elected member and also portfolio holder for finance and revenue and benefits. I just want to also thank everybody for taking part in the consultation. It was really important to hear the views, the comments and also the ideas. And just going on from what Robin said there, over the last 13 years, difficult decisions have had to be made as funding to the Council has been reduced, as Robin explained so well there. But in 2024, with the cost of living crisis, we are fully aware of how that reduced funding has impacted on the residents and will impact on the residents of Luton. But we do have a legal obligation, and that is to present a balanced budget. And with that in mind, I can assure everybody that your views, your comments and your ideas will be taken seriously when we make these tough decisions. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. So turning to the questions that you've posed for us, and the first theme is council tax. So this is the time of year where we set the council tax for the coming year, and we've received a number of emails concerning our proposed increase in council tax. Rob.
Yeah, I'd like to carry on really, just a little bit more about where we are and how we got there. Councils across the council are not country are not adequately funded. Luton have had a dramatic drop in funding, as we've explained earlier. The issue we have is that we are funded as a rural council, but we have the pressures of a London borough, and that's just one of the issues, not the issue. It is a challenge, but we're managing well. We have a strategy in place to be creative and hopefully put the council back in a better place to be ready for the future. The government is expecting most councils to raise council tax by the maximum amount. We don't want to. We know people are struggling, but we've been left with no choice as we don't have enough funding to pay for the services we have to deliver. And we are at this moment, as Robin explained earlier, delivering over 700 services. There's also, we still offer a very generous council tax reduction scheme. So I urge people who struggle with paying council tax, please to get in touch with the council. We have schemes, we have interventions, we are there to help, we're there to support.
Thanks, Rob. And as Rob's just said, we take these decisions with a very, very heavy heart, and these are not decisions that members are taking lightly. But I think it's important that we just make the point that our council tax rates are lower than elsewhere. So Luton Council is currently ranked 55th out of 59 unitary councils in England in terms of the average council tax per head of population. And when you look at our council tax in comparison to immediate neighbours, again, it is substantially less. Additionally, I think it's important just to make the point that council tax doesn't fund all that we do. It only funds about a third of the services that we provide. And on top of council tax, we need to generate business rates, money from traded services, dividends, and also money from the airport to ensure that we've got a balanced budget. It's incredibly important that we're open and transparent. And if you are really interested, you can go onto our website where all of the information is held about how the council is funded and what we do with the money.
Okay, thank you, Robin. In addition, just to let people know that every councillor holds surgeries. We have ward surgeries. We are available. We want to speak to people face to face. That's how we like to do it. If anybody has any issues or finance and council taxes can be quite complex, please come and speak to us. We're there for you. It's your council. We're your elected members. Please come and talk to us.
Okay, thanks, Rob. So the next thing that we'll go on to is the relationship between the council and the airport, which again was a theme that was raised by a number of people. So for those of you that don't know, the airport is owned by the council on behalf of the people of Luton. Now, this is a really positive thing. The airport is a nationally significant piece of infrastructure. It's the 5th largest airport in the country, and it provides in the order of 11,800 jobs for Luton residents, contributes about £1 billion to the local economy and about £1.6 billion to the UK economy. Now, we're in the process of looking to expand the airport at the moment and going through a national process to seek planning permission from the government to expand the airport from a capacity of 19 million passengers up to 32 million passengers. This will do a number of things. This will grow the number of jobs specifically at the airport by 4,500, with an extra 11,000 in total, and will deliver for the UK economy an extra £1.5 billion in economic activity. Rob.
If we carry on with that theme of the council and the airport, last year the council received 28 million from the airport to help support its frontline services. The airport supports local organisations to support people. 7.4 million last year went into community funding for investment projects. Over 50 local organisations it helped last year, and tens of thousands of people were impacted. The airport has a massive impact on how we support and help our people.
And a centrally important part of the Luton economy and where we're going in the future. And again, if people would like more information on the airport expansion and the proposals, they can be found on the council's website and also the Luton Rising website. So we'll go on to the next theme now, and I'll cover this. And it's we've had a couple of questions about staff salaries, and in particular senior staff salaries. So as I mentioned, we provide as an organisation 730 odd different services to the 225,000 residents of Luton. Overall, including the housing element of the budget, the schools element of the budget, the council's budget is £500 million. So it's a big budget, and we also manage commercial property assets in the region of £3.5 billion. So as an organisation, it is a big and complex entity. But as an organisation, we've already talked about how we've been stretched over the last 13 years. And the workforce has gone from in the order of 4,200 members of staff in 2010 to around 2,700 members of staff now. But we're delivering almost as many services now as we were back in 2010, but with a reduced workforce. The senior management team is substantially smaller than it was in 2010, and it's about half the size that it was in 2010, but with more responsibility. And in addition to that, when we had to go through the emergency budget in the summer of 2020 in response to COVID hitting, and we took an extra £500,000 out of the senior management structure. The senior team, I can absolutely guarantee to you, are hugely committed to the organisation and to the residents of Luton. They work incredibly hard, and the salaries that we pay are at the market rate, and salary increases are negotiated nationally, not at a local level. But every single member of the senior team are absolutely aware that with the salaries that they receive come high responsibilities. We also had a number of questions about councillor salaries, and just to clarify, this is a misunderstanding, because councillors don't receive salaries. Councillors work incredibly hard. All of our councillors work incredibly hard, and they get a small allowance that covers their attendance at meetings and other commitments. They really are servants of the public. So moving on to the next theme, and there are a number of points and a number of suggestions for us around increasing revenue. And thank you for those. Some of you have wondered whether we can increase our revenue through increasing fines for those that litter and fly tip. Rob?
Yeah, firstly, I just want to explain really, littering and fly tipping is totally unacceptable, and we will punish those people. We'll find them, we'll take them through the courts, and we will find them. And it's a blight on the town. An overwhelming majority of residents are disgusted with this, as I am, as well as littering. When people spoke about the fines, we looked at the fines just really and the costs, and we've actually taken them to the maximum because we believe that this is something that we want to get rid of in the way of fly tipping. We've increased the fines by fly tipping from £400 to £1,000, and we've increased the littering to £500, and we have enforcement going through the town centre, fining people if they see them litter. You can help us. You can help us deal with this fly tipping and littering. Please report anything you see. Our officers will go out, and if they do catch people, they will enforce. They will use their powers, and these people will go to court and they will get fined. Spending money on enforcement takes money away from the frontline services. So the more money we can save on enforcement, we can put back into frontline services. Thank you, Robbie.
Thanks, Rob. So a further theme that you raised was about the spend of money on civic events and the activities that happen around the town centre. Now, many of those events are sponsored by our airport company, Luton Rising, but they're good for the town centre because they increase footfall. We've got absolutely clear statistics that demonstrate how much footfall increases when we hold events in the town centre, which is good for town centre businesses and for the people that they employ, good for our economy, good for jobs. The events also generate income and also, importantly, a feel-good factor about Luton and helping us to improve Luton's reputation. And talking about our reputation, a further theme that was raised was around the town centre and the look and feel of the town centre. Now, this is something that everybody agrees with, that we need to make the town centre more attractive. There is a bold and ambitious town centre master plan that's been agreed across the political parties. Rob, can you talk about some of the activities?
Yes, of course, yes. hopefully in 2024, we're going to see some of these improvements, major improvements come in. But let's just take a step back and see what we've done already. We've secured investment in relation to the new parks and the River Lee, the Hat Garden, and also we've secured investment for the stage, and that will help us start the regeneration programme, which is going to be a regeneration of Bute Street car park, and also the football stadium. Hopefully in the next couple of years we can look at and say, you know, that is a wow of a place for the regeneration of the town centre, for have a Premier League football team playing at a Premier League stadium in the middle of Luton town centre. We have public art, we have events going on in town, and we also have increased enforcement, which we spoke a little while about. But generally what we're trying to do here is we've started what we would say the regeneration programme and the master plan, but we hopefully want to see the big areas like the football stadium, the stage come in the next couple of years, and that will make a massive change to the town centre and the regeneration of all the projects that we want to try and do, and will help with better enforcement as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. So the next theme we'll look at is housing, and we absolutely, everyone's aware that housing is an issue in Luton, and has become more of an issue in recent years. And we've got some significant challenges, including pressure from the Home Office, who have been placing large numbers of asylum seekers in the town. And whilst we're a very, very warm and welcoming place, we're not particularly comfortable with the number of people that the Home Office have placed with us and are challenging the Home Office legally. A number of you suggested that we look to build more. Luton is a relatively small place, and if you look at the map, we've built up to the borough boundary, so it's hard to identify a substantial number of new locations to build across the town. But Rob, do you want to talk us through some of the things that we are doing?
Yeah, I mean, from a political point of view, should we look at the where we are now? I will say that this is the one area that keeps us awake at night politically, is housing people. How do we house people in Luton, the temporary accommodation? These are the pressures that we're having on the budget. One of the pressures I spoke about being a London borough earlier, and it's what keeps us awake at night. With the absence of what I would call a national housing strategy for social housing, it makes it even more difficult to try and deal with. But we are looking to be creative, we're looking to be radical, we're looking to try things different. And hopefully within the next 12 months, these ideas that we may have may come to fruition, but they're going to be difficult for based all the reasons that Robin just gave in relation to build up to the borough, etc., and the lack of national strategy on social housing. But we're not going to give up on that. If I take it forward and go forward, then we look at the 2040 vision and what that will create. The 2040 vision is all about eradicating poverty. It's not going to wait till 2040. But you can only eradicate poverty if you have good housing, and that's in one way. So that needs to start now. We need to start looking how we're going to do that and be creative and be radical, as I said earlier. But the main thing also is about the skills, about the education. You know, there's an old theory about giving people good work, giving them good education, and giving good jobs, giving good homes, and the person and the family will do the rest. That's the process and the strategy that we're using, and the 2040 vision is part of that theory and strategy. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. I think it's fair to say, Rob, that our housing team are under substantial levels of pressure. You know, we've got
yes,
nearly 11,000 households on our housing register. We've got over 1,000 households in temporary accommodation, and the team are working with about 480 households every single month who are at risk of homelessness and at risk of losing their housing. And you know, very, very mindful that we need some more support from the government. The leader has written to the government, urging them to come to Luton to visit and see the reality of the situation on the ground outside of London, because it really is a difficult position. But we've done a lot to improve the position as well, haven't we, Rob? We've improved our housing stock. So those in council houses, that housing stock is substantially better than most other councils' stock. We've spent over £1.5 million on aids and adaptations to enable people to stay in their homes. We're looking to buy accommodation to ensure that we can reduce the numbers in our temporary accommodation. So the council is doing as much as it can, but we need more support from the government.
I agree, Robin. I think that's when I was talking about being radical and creative, that's exactly what I was talking about. We can't rely on government. We have to be radical and creative and do the things that we think are right, like looking to buy our own accommodation, that sort of thing, and looking to do things differently. And I think that's correct. So yeah, I agree.
Thanks, Rob. So we'll turn now to the final theme, which is around parking and traffic congestion. And again, there were a number of comments and questions around this. We are planning for better infrastructure. We've benefited from a £19 million bus service improvement fund grant, which will ensure that bus services across the town are better. But Rob, do you want to talk about what the council's doing on this agenda?
Yeah, thank you. We do have we want to decrease the use of cars in the town centre. It's important to help with a healthier, greener town, and also to reach the strategy of 2040 vision of net carbon zero by 2040. So these things are quite important. Well, they're very important, not quite important. We do have a sustainable transport strategy. And that's going to be over the next 10 years. And I think people will start hearing a bit more about that. The infrastructure Robin spoke about is paramount to that strategy. It won't work without it. But if I could just give you some idea of where we are now as a town. When I was highways portfolio holder, we had what I saw were 3 different sections of people. We had the one section, a percentage of people who will use their cars no matter what, and that's fine. And we had a middle section who was saying to the council, we're using our cars because you haven't got the right public transport and the right infrastructure in place. Put that in place and we can make a choice. And then there's the other percentage of people who say, we want greener travelling, we want infrastructure, we want to use our cycles, we want to walk. And so these 3 elements of people, the idea being, if we can firstly get the infrastructure right, get the strategy right with this transportation, so those middle people should be able to move to the bottom percentage, and we could improve public transport, cycling, walking by a higher percentage. And then it's a case of having those conversations with the higher percentage and saying, look, what can we do here to get you, instead of going for a mile in your car, why can't you walk? Why can't you get cycle? Why can't you get on a bus? So it's having those conversations with residents as well. And it is conversations. It's not something the council are going to say, this is what we're going to do. We want to say with the people, this is what we are trying to do. How can you help us get there? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Rob. So just to conclude, and I'll say a couple of things before I pass back to Councillor Roche. We very much hope this has been helpful for you, and please keep talking to you. As Rob said, please do talk to your local councillors so that everything that we do can reflect the sort of town that you want Luton to be. We have got an ambitious agenda in Luton. We are delivering upon that agenda. And only last week, an organisation called the Centre for Cities released some data that showed that Luton has been the #1 place in the country for private sector job growth over the period of 2010 to 2022. An absolutely fantastic statistic for Luton. Rob.
Yeah, thank you, Robin. Yeah, I just want to leave by saying that as councillors, we are available. We're there. Come and meet us. We do have surgeries, but we won't go where people are. And so we can have these conversations, because the conversations are important. When I go to my coffee mornings and have these conversations, people understand and they get on board with it, and they actually come up with some good ideas that we might be able to take forward. We do have our surgeries. We're going to be looking to hold more face-to-face consultations together, should we say, public consultations face-to-face. We're looking more to do that. please come. I'd be happy to go into any organisation anywhere to go and talk about finance and how it works, because it is very complex. And the more people understand about it, the better, can see exactly where the Luton Council are and what we're trying to do, what we're trying to achieve, and how we're going to get there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.